I'm continuing because I want you to get a very good feeling for how broad Google's umbrella has been cast. So they have desktop applications, AdWorks Editor, Google Chrome, Google Earth, Google Input Tools, which is a method editor so that you can enter text in a supported language on a Roman keyboard. They also have Japanese input desktop apps, Pinyin, which will convert Pinyin characters to Chinese so that you can type Chinese on a Roman keyboard. They have Google Toolbar, which will allow you to work on your web browser toolbar. Android Studio. What you see is what you get for HTML5 pages. I want to try that myself. Photos backup. Well, this is a very different area of their expertise. So all of a sudden, they're a backup for everything. It's actually a very nice feature as long as there's competition for it. In Hurricane Katrina, my university, which was in the direct path, had a computer system down for months. My husband had online stuff for his photos. He was a photographer, and he was never down, which was important because people lost all their photos, and we were trying desperately to get them copies. In fact, the chances of you guys having been through a devastating event this early in your life while you're still at university is probably pretty small. So I will tell you that photos are one of the most important things that you will miss if you lose everything. And so photo backups, very important. I had boxes and boxes of stuff that I took out of my house. My house had been moved and destroyed, but it was still standing. One of the few that was still standing, albeit 85 feet away from where it was supposed to be and stuck on a tree. So I could pull out quite a lot of things, and it took me years and years to go through them. They were moldy, they were icky, I didn't like doing it. But anyways, I finally got to a box which actually had a lot of photos that were good. And I saw a whole group of pictures, maybe 300, of a friend of mine's kids. So I got in my car instantly. Maybe this was 10 years after the hurricane. I got in my car instantly and drove to their house and actually saw my friend jogging as I was driving by. So I stopped. I didn't know, I couldn't remember where she lived for sure. So I wanted to ask her address. I didn't really want to give her the pictures, but I stopped her during her jog and I said, look, I just found these at my house. I didn't know if you wanted them or not. And she starts looking through them and she just starts crying. And this is 10 years after this hurricane. And she said, we lost all of the photos of the kids in Hurricane Katrina. And we had only given like one as a major, gift to my parents for, like a big display in their house. They have 3 kids. She said, so we have one picture of the family. And now we have 300. And she just couldn't get over it. So back up your photos. And this is a very nice task to do for people, provided you can do it securely. They allow support for Photoshop, which is a competitor eventually for them as well, I'm sure. Tilt Brush allows you to paint on different software systems. They have mobile apps, a blogger for mobile phones. Google Calendar for mobile phones, Google Drive for mobile phones, Gmail for mobile phones, Keep, that'll do notes, lists, and photos, Maps for local businesses, Map navigation for GPS-enabled phones, Mobilizer to optimize your web page browsers on your mobile app, which is a very different platform than a laptop, mostly because it has flash memory instead of a hard drive. And flash memory, as you know, if you write it too often, will stop working. So you can't do the same operating system tasks. Mobile apps have Google News, Google Offers, which works with Google Wallets for coupons, Google Plus Social Networks move there, Google Product Search, Google Photos, Google Tez, which is an Android payment app for unified payments in India. The Indian banks are still worried about security too. They're not different than us, but that's a particular app for India. Google Pay, Google Translate, YouTube, Quick Draw, most of their apps have been moved to the mobile platform. Mobile app developers can use multi-factor authentication from Google, Google Playbooks, books across devices, Gmail, catalogs, drives, Files Go for storage cleanup. Don't forget to use it. Googles to search the photos you take. Tango for augmented reality. They offer all sorts of tools you can develop with. Google Podcasts, One Today to donate for nonprofits. Shopper, Google Sync to connect your phones, your calendars, and your contacts. Google Talk on VoIP. Yinyu, large archive of Chinese pop music. Pop music is very important in China. YouTube Remote connects to devices that moves videos up to a TV. Even I have one, and I'm not a very high-tech person. So I love YouTube stupid videos. You know, people falling down. The worst competitors on America's Got Talent. I find all of those enormously funny. I actually think one of my goals in life, if I were younger, would be to get Simon Cowell to tell me I'm a terrible singer, which I am. But I'd just love to hear some professional say, boy, you really shouldn't do that. So anyways, I like my YouTube videos and I like to watch them on TV. I think they're more entertaining when they're larger. Live traffic alerts, glide typing. I would not be able to text without glide typing. You guys who are native computer users grew up typing text and you have no trouble doing it in your sleep, but I just couldn't learn it. It's too hard on that little tiny screen, and I type with my fingers, not my thumbs. But glide typing allowed me to kind of think like I type on a keyboard, but still do it quickly and be able to text. They have a ton of effort in hardware. Driverless cars. They want to compete with the automakers. Now, they may not get there, and I can't remember the name of that car. Elon Musk, Tesla, sort of tried to beat him to the punch, but Tesla might go under, and their stuff still may be important. I don't think they actually want to build the hardware. I think they want to provide the software. Their driverless car technology center is very well protected, and I've only spoken to a few people who have gotten in there to see things, and they're kind of limited in what they can say about it. Next one, or next to any of the numbers for all their phones. Pixel C for a tablet. Chromebook, which seems to be succeeding more than the others. Pixelbook, Chromecast, Chromecast Audio. They sell these different hardware devices. So certainly extending to phones, cut the Canadian and I can't remember if it's Norway or Sweden. So we'll just call the Scandinavian telephone companies out of a lot of the market. Google contact lenses, which are not yet available, are designed to monitor ocular pressure so that you can use your contact lenses to tell you a lot about your eye health. Daydream View is their virtual reality. Google Home, the smart speakers, which is looking forward to capturing a lot of the Internet of Things market, so that smart refrigerators, smart washing machines. A friend of mine who has way too much money has a smart barbecue. So it's doesn't run with charcoal, it runs on wood. So it's a wood barbecue, and it has an automatic feeder so that it controls very carefully the temperature. And before he gets home, he can set it on to a certain temperature so that when he gets home, it's ready to put the food on the grill. He cooks it. It has shields so that you don't actually get the contact with the flames, so that you avoid a lot of the cancer. causing agents that grilled food can introduce. So Google Home is designed not just as a smart speaker, but to be able to control your environment through computers. Google Wi-Fi gives you a local router. You have additional phones. They have ongoing projects as well. Project Fi is simpler cell phone plans for low-budget users. The cloud platform for software development. Google Crisis Response for disasters, turmoils, emergencies, and alerts. Still at a little bit of a primitive level. Google Fiber, to be able to build their own broadband network infrastructure instead of using the backbone from the countries. They have it in Kansas City. They have a web presence for small business online. As I mentioned, public Wi-Fi sponsored ads. Public DNS, so that you can get domain name server service from them. Google Ideas, cross-sector think tank, only online instead of putting people in buildings. Person Finder, which I find truly intrusive into my privacy. Accelerated mobile pages, using open source JavaScript libraries so that developers can use the most optimal methods. Firebase, which is a DBMS app for developers for real-time database management systems. There really is not as much development in real-time systems as there could be, so that's a good place for them to look for software development. And Cast, which is entertainment and apps for their different hardware products. So my question for you, when you look at this, is Google trying to facilitate the technological move into an online structure, or are they trying to build monopoly? Their business model, if you looked at what I just showed you, is not innovative, in my opinion, even though they're given credit for tons of innovation. It's derivative. Almost every single product that I mentioned was developed by another company, and then they moved on. They either bought the patent or bought the company like YouTube, or they built their own in a different way so as to avoid the patent restrictions. Google patents everything that they can think of. They are trying to have the patent for everything. So for me, Google, while its original task was quite innovative, and their efforts in that direction are still innovative, the rest of this model is, in my opinion, derivative. And they're moving as many businesses online and under their umbrella as possible. Fortunately, they have competition, but you saw with the tobacco industry, with other industries, that if there's only a few large corporations, they can get away with less, and still they can get away with not being the only company and still being able to make tacit agreements to be able to control pricing, etc.